Let me welcome you, my dear students. My name is Saima, and this is our fourth learning session of Discourse Studies. In our previous lecture, we have discussed types of discourse and relation of discourse and society. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about the pragmatics. So let's discuss the outline of our lecture. In this lecture, we are going to discuss the definition of pragmatics, language, context and discourse, implicature, hedges, scalar implicature, speech act and utterance, speech act classification, politeness and interaction, direct and indirect speech, felicity condition, cross-culture pragmatics, politeness and gender, and politeness and cross-cultural pragmatics. So let's start with the definition. So there are some definitions of pragmatics. The study of invisible meaning in language is called pragmatics. There are two types of meanings, invisible and visible meanings, or surface meaning or contextual meaning. So context-based study of language is called pragmatics. The study of text and context in two extra meaning from language is called pragmatics. And other definition is the study of extra linguistic features of language is called pragmatics. So we can say that how to get more communicated than what is said is called pragmatics, where context play a significant role in the process of meaning making. For example, bank, spring, etc. If someone says about a fountain is springing, so if we don't know about the fountain, then we are not able to learn about the things or the sentence. So we can say that it is studies that the factor that governs for choice of language in social interaction and the effect of our choice on others. These lines are discussed by the David Christer. So pragmatics information is extra linguistics information. So pragmatics assumes that when people communicate with each other, they normally follow some kind of cooperative principles. That is, they have a shared understanding of how they should cooperate in their communication. According to Cameron, who have discussed this in 2001, the area of central interest in the study of pragmatics is the relationship between the linguistics form and communication or communicative function. So forms and functions both are highly ideological. When you change form, you are going to change the function as well. So this is the definition of pragmatics. Let's discuss the language, context and discourse. An understanding of how language function in context is central to an understanding of the relationship between what is said and what is understood in spoken and written discourse. For example, very good have meaning and one cannot understand the meaning without the context. This includes the physical context, social context and the mental world and roles of conversation between you and someone else. Where you think this is the relevant, the analysis of text is done according to the following categories, in which we are going to discuss about the foregrounding, for backgrounding, assumption or presupposition and agency. What is foregrounding? If we talk about foregrounding, means that is what is going to do in this category or in this era. Then what is about the background? What is the background of this context? Presupposition means you are going to pre-assumption. What is your assumption according to this sentence? And what about the agency? Who is the doer and surrounding of the agent? Means what is said and what are you going to understand. So the next is implicature. Implicature, it is the study of additional conveyed meaning or study of invisible meaning. For example, vote us in this election for green revolution. What is implication in this? Means previous government did nothing to reform in agriculture. Vote us, so we will work for the agriculture as well as for the farmers. So I am going to discuss here another example, that is, she says, I am a true Muslim. What does it mean? What is implicature in it? Means other Muslims are fake Muslims. So this is all about the implicature. Now I am going to discuss about the hedges. Hedges are basically the meaning of pauses. So pauses are generalized conversational implicatures. Pauses are person and context specific. We cannot generalize the things. If someone is taking pause, it doesn't mean the person has lack of knowledge. Why? Because it might be possible the person is in a sublime stage. The person is in a state of mind, means he is not present in this section. When you have short of words, you are in stage of sublime. So revival of classical things means what you are going to say and what are you going to understand. These things are totally different. So it doesn't mean if someone is taking pauses or the hedges, it doesn't mean the person has lack of knowledge. It might be the person is thinking something. The person is taking pauses that you can understand everything. So the next is scalar implicature. For uncountable nouns, the use of words like all, most, many, some, few is studied under the concept of scalar implicature. So the next one is speech, act and utterance. If we talk about speech, act and utterance, means what we say is act. On other, there are different acts of speech, different types of speeches. So act performed through utterance. Speech acts includes apology, complaint, compliments, promises, requests, etc. What we say is acted by other. So there are three types of speeches acts. The first one is locatory, that is the utterance or the first act. The second one is illocatory, means act on it, temporary effect. Then the third one is the last one, prelocatory. So habit that act, means that is the thing people are going to habitual on it. So this is the long lasting effect. So in this example it's quite simple. Means what is locatory? If a teacher enters in the room, he says, you people stand up and greet me the good morning. Then the students stand up. The means what is utterance? The first act, the teacher said, you need to greet me. The second one is illocatory, that means act upon utterance. Students stood up and greet the teacher. Then prelocatory is, this is going to habitual. Whenever teacher enters in the class greets the teacher. So this is locatory, illocatory and perlocatory. The next one is now I am going to discuss the locatory act. This is the first dimension of speech act. It is performed through communication, or it is the basic act of utterance through use of language, and it affects on other people. Then illocatory act, second dimension of speech act. It is performed through communication force. The utterance develops an understanding among the person involved in communication. The last one is the prelocatory act, that is the third dimension of speech act. It has long lasting effect and people makes the actions as habit. So I have discussed the means the example of this when the teacher enters in the class and student greets the teacher. So the next one is speech act classification. The first one is declaration, means I pronounce you husband and wife. So this is declaration. The second one is the representatives. The earth is flat. This is representative. Then the expressive is I am sorry, I am going to express my feelings. So directive, give me a cup of tea, I am going to direct or the direction. So commissive means compliments. If you are going to compliment something, that is commissive. The next one is politeness and interaction. So what is politeness? Politeness is how to be pleasant and acceptable while speaking or writing. So try to be accepted. What is politeness? The idea of polite social behavior to show what you are on the person's face. I can simply say that try to be acceptable while you are trying to write or speak. So what you are in the eyes of other is called politeness or face. Then the face saving is means try to be acceptable while you are trying to write on the to write or speak. So people what people are thinking about you in positive way, that is face. The people's self image of a person is called face. Face is what is I am for you and what you are for me. What have many faces? What has many faces means according to the Shakespeare, we make faces to meet faces. So why this is? Because we are going to be polite in front of the others. We have many faces and no face, because we are going to make faces to meet the faces. I have many faces in front of few people. I have different face, but in front of my siblings I have an other face, but in front of my parents I have different face. So we have many faces and in reality we have no face. The third one is the relative social distance. Language shows what relation you share with the other person in the social context. For example, Fahim shows distance. So Fahim shows close friend or the solidarity. This is about the relative social distance. The next one is face threatening. What is face threatening? Means it is an act having a threat to an other face and not taking care of social image. Means this is all about the people who are not going to be pleasant in front of others. Means those people who are in anger and doesn't care what do people think about them, and means show their anger to the people. What is face saving? Face saving is saying to lessen a possible threat to take care of social image by others. What means it is saying something to lessen a possible threat to take care of social image of others. Means you are going to threat other, but you are saving your face too. Means only one person can judge you, but no one else can. Means you are good in front of other people as well. So what is direct and indirect speech? The next one is the direct and indirect speech. So when we do mean what we are going to say, something is direct speech. For example, did you allow her to do that on your behalf? Means what is direct speech? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. The person B is saying. So indirect speech is this may not necessarily means what they seem. So means the example of this is things in a room are scattered. Means what is indirect? The room is means the real meaning is the room is a real mess, but we are saying things in a room are scattered in good way. This is indirect speech. The next one is felicity condition. What is felicity condition? So there are certain conditions that must be met. What is for a speech act to work? There are number of conditions that must be met, or there are certain conditions that must be met why? Because we have something that floating. A person is floating. A maxim is he or she does not observe a maxim but has no intention of deceiving or misleading. Or we can say, if you mislead someone unintentionally, it is called floating. Floating is basically unintentionally, when you act unintentionally, that is called floating. What is violation? Means when a person is violating the maxim is basically the rule of the likelihood of he or she are liable to mislead the other person. Or we can say that if you mislead someone intentionally, it is called violation. Means when you do some act intentionally, that is called violation. When you do something that is unintentionally, it is called floating. So the next one is cross-cultural pragmatics. So ways being in life. Culture is an umbrella term. I can simply say that culture is an umbrella term. That's why we are going to discuss about the pragma linguistics. What is pragma linguistics? So the study of resources a given language provides a conveying particular meaning. A study of speech act in relation to the typical linguistic structure is called pragma linguistics. The next one is socio-pragmatics. What is socio-pragmatics? It refers to the specific local condition of language. So I am going to discuss here an example. One must use this very consciously because means use of two conventional or joining two different meanings. So politeness and cross-cultural pragmatism is quite, we can say that it is quite difficult because a person who visited a school, means basically a person got job in another country and he doesn't know the implicature or the things that are used there. What did he act there? Means because he doesn't know about the socio-culture there. So in the school, when the students are writing something and he was waiting, so he snapped the finger. But in their socio-culture, the meaning of snapping finger was to calling the cub. So means in our reality, means it was the pilla, that is in hurry. So cross-cultural pragmatics failure language is very slippery. One must use it very consciously. So what is the norm one in language effect to do something wrong? So criticizing their worker in front of co-worker is quite unconsciously, quietly different. So what is conversational implications? So it refers to the inference a hearer makes about the speaker, intended meaning focusing on literal meaning. So what is conventional conversational implicator? So no context is required in order to derive implicator. Means anyways, I'm going to discuss here the anyways, returning to original topic, but as a conjunction. So if we talk about particularized conventional implicator, it is quite simple. It is derived from particular context. For example, you are out of coffee. What does it mean in reality? You don't worry, there is a shop on the corner. So what is the next? That is politeness and gender. So if we talk about politeness and gender, it's quite simple. That is, if it means here I am going to discuss vary according to the gender, that is called by the Holmes. He reveals that relationship between sex, politeness and language is complex and over women and more polite than men, because if a person means if we talk about the people or the person, for example, if a person says hello gorgeous, this shows old friendship. If it is said to an unknown girl or the woman, then it may be considered as impolite. So the social context influence our linguistics behavior. The next one is politeness and cross-cultural pragmatics. These strategies are not universal. Face saving versus face threatening. Politeness versus impolite means native speakers are less tolerate as compared to the non-native speakers. One must know that pragmatic rule of use language or langue and parole. So what do you think about langue and parole? Means langue is basically, it is a formal grammatical system in langue is basically a formal grammatical system in language. On the other hand, we can say parole on the other hand is how rules are put into action. For example, if I am learning the grammar of the language, that is basically langue, and if we talk about the parole, means I am writing a letter means that letter in written form is called parole. So then we can say that the study of pragmatics helps us in extracting possible exact meaning from the language. However, the concept mentioned above the study to pragmatics vary from culture to culture. So this is all about our lecture. Thank you so much and goodbye.